Please do let me know if my screen is visible to everyone.
Yeah, yes, it is visible.
Yeah, thank you. So, hello everyone, good afternoon. Today we are having a session on Nutanix. So, what is Nutanix? Why we are using Nutanix, and what is the requirement of Nutanix? You guys see that currently there is a spike in use of Nutanix technology. Previously, what we are doing, we are using VMware, that is a technology which is in market for more than 25 years. Multiple customers, medium customer, large scale customers, we can say small customers, they are trusting and using VMware as a technology in their infra to work according to that particular requirement of their company. So this is in market for 25 years. Currently also it is in market, and now it has been acquired by Broadcom. So last year this acquisition is done from VMware to Broadcom. Now Nutanix Nutanix is founded in 2009. So we can say Nutanix is also having a market experience of more than 15 years, and multiple organizations, multiple big giants are using Nutanix in their infra. Currently, Nutanix is in demand because the licensing cost for VMware and Broadcom, I can say, I will not say VMware, I will say Broadcom as it is acquired by Broadcom. So once the acquisition is completed, after that, the licensing cost of Broadcom is very high. Like what we are doing, we are paying for the physical hardware, any hardware that we are using like HP, Dell, we are using HP, Dell, IBM hardwares. After that, we are installing ESXi on it. We need to buy a license for ESXi from VMware. To manage all the ESXi in our infra, we need vCenter in our infra, and we need a license for vCenter as well. So, so that we can use the vCenter app to centralize, manage all our ESXi host, network, data center, and cluster. After that, if you are planning to use any automation tool or automation technology, you can use VRA that is used. We need to purchase a license for VRA also. We need to purchase a license for vSphere replication also. We need to purchase a license for VROPS also. We can say that this is a suite of VMware. So that's why the costing of Broadcom is very high. Now there is a spike in this Nutanix technology. Why? The reason is that it has their own hardware as well. I will name a few of them: NX. We can say latest one is Gen 11. It has a family of hardware like NX11, NX10, NX9, NX8. So on this, whenever you purchase a hardware, by default, there should be a requirement according to you. Suppose if an organization is already using ESXi license and they have a license for more than 5 years, or I can say 2 years. Okay. And as an IT engineer, the customer connected with you and he said, I don't want to continue with this HP hardware and all those things. I need a Nutanix hardware that will save my costing. So according to his requirement, you can suggest him like what hardware you should use. You suggested NX11. Based on your suggestion, it NX11 is purchased, and after that, there should be two more things. One thing is HV, and other thing is ESXi. I will brief on that in few minutes on these points. What is ESV and what is ESXi? Okay. So the main concern is that here you in Broadcom you need to pay for ESXi separately. You need to pay for vCenter. You need to pay for VRA, NSX, anything that you want to use, you have to pay. These are the vSphere application, vSphere suite. In Nutanix, you have a hardware. On that particular hardware, AHV or ESXi, whatever you are saying, AHV is installed on it. There is no need to pay extra for this. To manage how we are managing the Nutanix infra, like here in Broadcom, we are using the vCenter, but how in Nutanix we are managing our infra? So the answer is we are using Prism Central. We are using Prism Central. I will brief on these things. This is just a overview. So Prism Central, we can say it works like a vCenter. What vCenter is doing, vCenter is used for centrally managing our VMware infra. Same is the work of Prism Central. In Prism Central, we can centrally manage all the infra of our Nutanix. Like we can say how our infra, if it is healthy or not, is there any alert? We have a Prism element as well. Like we can see that if there is any alert, if the hardware is any error, if the VM is showing any alerts, if we have any redundancy factor as well on the storage part. So all these things are managed in a single license. So this is why people are moving and shifting towards Nutanix. There are some more alternatives to VM as well. There is Nutanix, there is Hyper-V, there is a Proxmox solution. So this is why Nutanix is in demand. So now coming to the slide, let me share the slide also. Yeah, here. So I just mentioned there are some core components of VMware infra like vSphere. So you all knows that VMware is a suite that includes ESXi hypervisor, vCenter to manage all the things and install. We can install a ESXi on that. We can install a particular. We can create a data center cluster and then add our ESXi host, and we can create the VMs and manage it according to our requirement. So this is a tool. After that, ESXi, as I said, ESXi is a hypervisor. It is the main vSphere component. So in in ESXi, what is done? I have purchased a HP hardware, as I mentioned here, and on this particular HP hardware, I need to install this ESXi. So this is installed on this hardware. This is type 1 bare metal. On Nutanix as well, on the Nutanix NX11, if my requirement is to install the AHV, it is by default installed by the factory, by the manufacturer, according to your requirement. But if you need to install the ESXi, you need to update the vendor that on this particular hardware, I need this ESXi. You need to provide all the details, cabling, stacking, racking, where it should be placed, what is the port requirement according to your infra, what will be the IP range, what will be the IP range for vMotion, what is the IP range for management adapter. So all those things you need to provide here. After that, once the ESXi is installed, you need to install the vCenter server. As I said, vCenter is also like Prism Central. You need to install vCenter server so that you can manage all your infra in a single place. Like if I'm not installing any vCenter server, what I need to do, I need to log into each host individually by using their IP or name, DNS name. We need to log into that and we need to do the work one by one. Okay. But why what happens with vCenter? vCenter server is we can use our whole infra centrally managed. If I need to log into one particular data center, I can log into one vCenter. Suppose I'm using a vCenter in France. I logged into that particular vCenter. From there, I can manage all the things. I can manage my storage. I can manage my network ports, distributed switches. I can manage my VMs. I can manage my HADRS. Everything I can manage from vCenter. Okay. Now storage. For storage also in VMware, you need to pay for vSAN. Storage is a different thing you need to buy for that. For networking also, yes, we can use NSX. This is a very demanding technology. NSXT we are using. Mostly this is used for security. Customers are using it to secure their infra by applying DFW rules, by applying T0, T1 networks, all those things. So these are the main components of VMware infra. I just noted few components that are mainly in used, that are mainly, that if anyone having a background of VMware, they know about these things. What is vSphere, what is ESXi, what is vCenter, what is storage, what is networking. I'm not going that much deep in this VMware because we have a demo session for Nutanix. This is just a brief. There are multiple things that we can discuss on these points, like we have vMotion, we have SV motion, we have affinity rules, we have anti-affinity rules. So these are the basic things. Now I'm coming to what are the core components of Nutanix. Here the core components are vSphere, ESXi, vCenter, storage and networking. But in Nutanix, the core components are Acropolis, Prism, storage and networking. Coming to Acropolis, as I said, AHV. AHV is the hypervisor that is being used by Nutanix. In Nutanix, the hypervisor of Nutanix is AHV. For VMware, the hypervisor of VMware is ESXi here. So Prism, as I said, Prism is used for centrally manage our Nutanix infra. It's not like we are logging to one block or one ESXi host and managing my Nutanix infra. As a IT engineer, as a VMware or Nutanix engineer, you need to have Prism. The benefit of Prism is it is not paid. It comes with that particular license. So you don't need to pay for Prism Central as well or Prism Element Cluster. Like we are paying for the license for vCenter. Storage, yes, for storage part also, when you as I suggested here, as per the customer requirement, you need to guide him what hardware they are using, because you are the engineer, you know the requirement, you know the workload, what is the workload of customer. Like if they are using 25 machines and they are using only 2 ESXi hosts, depending on their infra architecture, you have to provide them the solution. So you said that this NX11 machine is used and this is okay for your infra. So here comes like what will be the storage. So as I said, based on the workload, you have to advise the storage part also. Here, the main thing is that you don't need to pay anything for storage license. Storage comes with that particular thing. Nutanix. It is the inbuilt storage that known as DSF, Distributed Storage Fabric. In VMware, we have VMware vSAN. So this is the other part. And networking for Nutanix, I said that Nutanix have their flow, FLOW flow, that is used for networking part. But maximum customers are using NSX on their Nutanix infra. What they are doing, they deploy the Nutanix infra and on that they are using the NSXT so that they can secure their infra. They can secure their infra and all the things that are related to security will be covered in Nutanix, NSXT. So this is the main components of Nutanix. Now coming to differences between VMware and Nutanix. What are the differences? Why we should use VMware? Why we should use Nutanix? So the first thing is core product. For VMware, the core product is VMware vSphere. And for Nutanix, as I said, it's AOS Acropolis operating system that is by default installed by vendor whenever you purchase a hardware. Second thing is a hypervisor. So in VMware, we have a hypervisor ESXi only, but in Nutanix as well, as I said, we have AHV ESXi also. Like I have a requirement, like I have a HP hardware and it is a Gen 11 machine, and your customer, your client is saying that I don't want to use, I want to use the Nutanix infra on this particular hardware. It doesn't mean that Nutanix is installed only on Nutanix hardware. So it can be installed on either HP hardware also. So here customer said, I don't need AHV. I need ESXi to be installed. So you can simply install the ESXi on this particular Gen 11 machine. And it will, Nutanix is a technology. If a person knows VMware, he can easily relate Nutanix to his expertise because it has nothing much different between VMware and Nutanix. If you are using, uh, if you are comparing both, I can say that uh, you are simply logging to the vCenter, you are right clicking on the ESXi host and creating a particular VM. Same you can do it in Nutanix. You can log into the Prism Central, you can log into the Prism element cluster. You can simply go to the um, VM option and you can simply create a new VM. So only few settings are renamed, like in VMware and in Nutanix, but terminology is same. You need to create a VM, you can do the same thing. You can migrate it. You have HA feature, you have DRS feature, all those things in Nutanix also. So here, as I said, storage vSAN is offered. It has its own storage, local storage that is known as DSF, distributed storage fabric. It has file services. Nutanix has Nutanix files. This is a very good feature by Nutanix. So what is Nutanix files? I can say that you guys have learned about, heard about DFS, distributed file services. That is a product of Microsoft. That we can say that if we are using Microsoft technology, DFS is used as a file server. We can create DFS, we can create DFS rules from AD so that any user can use the DFS shares and work from that. But Nutanix files is something like that. We can say that we can install a VM and make it as a Nutanix file server. After that, you can easily monitor all the things. I'm saying that all the things means you can easily monitor what is the consumption, what are the spaces that is being used by a user, what are the of what are the spaces, like which space is occupied by which file. Like you can say that you can see like if there is any .png file, if there is any .docx doc file, any word file, and what is the space of that particular. We can say that all the things you can see in file analytics. File analytics. So this is a feature of Nutanix files. You can simply monitor your Nutanix files from Prism Central and use your Nutanix sphere. This is a very good feature. If you are your organization is using file server, you can advise your customer also that this is a feature that is inbuilt by Nutanix and you can use it. So that is a very good feature by Nutanix. Apart from that, for management, we are using vCenter. I already briefed that. And for Nutanix, we are using Prism. Prism and vCenter server. Scalability, it can be used for high scalable and large customers and project. It is for hyper converged environment. hyper-converged environment, you know that it is a 100% solution, I can say, software-driven solution, where you have all the things like data center stack and computer storage, networking, virtualization at a single place. Okay. Network virtualization, we can use NSX. Previously, NSXV was in use. Now, for security and safety, it is upgraded to NSXT. Currently, 4.1.2 version is the latest for NSXT, because many organizations, I can say, are using this NSXT to secure their infra. For Nutanix, it has Flow, but what customers are doing, they are preferring NSX. They are purchasing a license and using it on their Nutanix infra. Cloud integrations, yes, they both have the cloud integration. You know that uh, VMware Cloud, AWS, Azure, and in Nutanix also, they both have the cloud integration. Yes, the pricing module, as I said, that licensing cost is complex, and it is as per CPU, per socket, what is the CPU. Depending on that, the licensing cost for that particular ESXi license is calculated in VMware. But Nutanix, it is simple. You can, you don't need to pay anything for your AHV. You don't need to pay anything for your Prism Central. You don't need to pay anything for your Prism element cluster. They are inbuilt and by default. So these are the major differences. There are many more differences that can be between VMware and Nutanix, but I just mentioned few of the differences that are the major one, and you should be aware about them. Coming to next slide, I have indicated some of the few features that are very important in Nutanix. First one is Prism. As I said, Prism is broken into two parts. First one is Prism Central, and second one is Prism Element. We can say it as Prism Element Cluster also. So Prism Central, let me brief you here. So Prism Central is like, I log into a, here, this is the Prism Central. It has all the features. You can monitor your infra from Prism Central. But suppose you are using 4 sites, or like France, you are using US, you are using Switzerland, suppose you are using Hong Kong. So this Prism Central is the centralized management which is being used for all these fours. But on these particular sites, you have to install Prism element cluster. So I can say whenever you log into the Prism Central, you can find here 4 blocks. You can say your sites here, Prism element cluster for FR, CH, US, and HK. You can simply, you don't not need to log into the Prism element cluster of each individually. You can simply log into the Prism Central. You can click on any of the link and you will be redirected to your particular site. Suppose if you click on that, you are redirected to France location. If you click on that, you are redirected to US location. If you click on that, you can log into the CH location and then HK location. So from one place, you can access your all infra from Prism Central. This is also mentioned here. It is used for single, it provides a single centralized management interface, as I already briefed. It is a optional software which can be deployed. It is one-to-many cluster. Yes, one-to-many, I just briefed here. One-to-many, like this is a one Prism Central and there are multiple Prism element into it. But Prism element cluster is one-to-one cluster management. It is localized cluster manager responsible for local cluster management and operation. Okay. As I said, every Acropolis cluster has Prism element built into it. So this is the element cluster, Prism element cluster, and they all are merged into this particular Prism Central. So this is the differences of Prism Central and Prism element cluster. Now I just figure out here like screenshot so that you can understand. This is the central management. We have Prism Central, and into this we have local management. We can say we have our cluster, we have our Prism element for FR, we have our Prism element cluster for CH, we have our Prism element cluster for HK. So this is, I just briefed here how Prism element and how Prism element cluster is working and supported in Nutanix. So this diagram also show that you have a Prism Central that is installed, which act as a central management. You have under that particular Prism Central, you have three local Prism element clusters that is installed and working on their clusters. So these are the local management. So CVM is controller VM. I can say it acts like a, let me brief you. There is four ESXi host, one host, two host, three host, and four host. So it has its CVM installed here. It has its separate CVM installed. It has its separate CVM installed, and it has its separate CVM installed. So now, if this is the scenario where your ESXi is installed on Nutanix boxes and you are using your vSphere as ESXi, then CVM is installed. You need to create two networks. Let me show you here. This is a ESXi host. I just mention ESXi host here. You see NTNX. This is a CVM machine that is in power on state and running at ESXi host. If this is powered off, you will see multiple alerts at your location, at your site, and might be you receive some P1s to work on that, because this is a very critical device in Nutanix. And here, if you see, this is the same CVM. I clicked on it, and if you see the network, there are two networks created: distributed port group, standard. So let me brief on that. Why we have two networks created? First one is for communication for external ESXi, and second one is for internal communication between the controller VMs. Like, these VMs are communicating with each other. We can say this communication is monitored by, there are some services that are running in the background. I will not go in deep in that, but I will name few of them, that like Cassandra, Zookeeper. So these are some services that are running. So this controller VM are communicating with each others, and this ESXi is used for external communication. Now, suppose you need to upgrade your NSX infra, and you have the infra as ESXi, and on this ESXi you have your CVM. What you need to do? You have to run the upgrade here, but as CVM is installed on the ESXi host, in normal scenario as well, if you are using VMware vCenter server ESXi host, you can simply migrate the machines from one ESXi host to another ESXi host, and you can put the ESXi host in maintenance mode. It will not require any additional stuff from your side. You can simply, if your DRS is enabled, it will migrate the machines by default to some other host and put your ESXi host in maintenance mode. But here we have one dependency. As I said, if on ESXi host a CVM is installed, you just right click on this ESXi host and select maintenance mode. It will migrate all the VMs. Suppose apart from CVM, there are 15 more VMs hosted on that ESXi host. And if you put that ESXi host in maintenance, these VMs will be migrated to another ESXi host. But this will not migrate. This CVM will not migrate. And your migration percentage will show 80% and stuck on this 80%. In this case, as I said, why it is not migrating? Because On ESXi host, the CVM is installed locally. So that's why in that case, you need to power off the CVM, and you can't right click on that and power it off like we are doing for VM machines. You need to take putty of this particular CVM IP, and then you need to run the command to power it off. Once it is powered off, you can see this 80% will comes to 100% and your ESXi host will be in maintenance mode. So this is the difference. Okay. So this is the role of CVM. It is a very important component of NSX. I can say it is the main component of NSX. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. It is the main component of Nutanix. If this CVM is down, it means your infra is affected. So yeah, I'm here. So controller VM, you see that each node runs an industry standard hypervisor like ESXi HV and CVM. The CVM is runs on Nutanix software, and all the IO operations, all VMs running on that host, they are communicating internally with each other. Sorry. The following figure, it will show you the storage IO, the HDD. Yes, in Nutanix, there are two SSD that will be installed. You have your CPU, you have your memory, then you have your hypervisor that is installed, whatever it is, if you are using AHV, if you are using ESXi, and then controller VMs and VMs. So this is the main work of CVM. I just briefed here a very in short, I brief what is the work of CVM, how it works, and what is the criticality of CVM. Okay, so here it is showing you like what is the configuration, why, how on a particular ESXi host a CVM is hosted. It is created by the vendor. Okay, you can't create this CVM. You have an option, but whenever you buy a new machine, a vendor visit the data center and then he cabling and racking is done. But if the machine is ordered, this AHV and CVM and ESXi hypervisor, according to your requirement, the vendor pre-installed it and then uh, send it to your data center so that you can use it further. And it has two networks that is configured. It is showing how many VMs are connected and how many hosts are there. So one is for communication between ESXi by name you see, and one is for used for internal communication with. Hello, am I audible? Am I audible? Hello, Amit. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Shaji. Thank you for the confirmation. I thought that my thank you. I thought my voice is not clear. Thank you for the confirmation. So I hope this part is done. You guys know like how the configuration is done. This is just a brief summary, but in details, it will be a more interesting topic, how CVM works. Now I just mentioned Nutanix CVM considerations. So as I said, every host in a Nutanix cluster has a CVM. Yeah, I just briefed it here. That consumes some of the host CPU and memory to provide all the Nutanix services. You can use Cassandra, you can use Zookeeper, you can use multiple services in your Nutanix CVM. When you log into the CVM putty session and you search for the services, you see multiple services are there. Like in vCenter servers, we have multiple services, same as in CVM also. And those services are very important for working of the Nutanix CVM. Now, the CVM can't live migrate to other host. Yes, this is the same line I say. The CVM can't live migrate to other host. Here I said that it can't be migrated and it will be stuck on 80%. Okay. So the physical drives pass through to the CVM using the host hypervisor PCI you can see here, there is a these are connected with a PCI pass. Then it is connected to the physical host, whatever it is. If you are using HP, if you are using Nutanix, whatever you are using, then hypervisor, either you are using AHV, Hyper-V, either you are using ESXi, and then on that particular ESXi host, I said if you are using this ESXi, there is a CVM installed. Apart from that, there are some VMs that are hosted on that particular ESXi host. So this diagram brief us about that. There is a physical disk, whatever it is, SSD or HDD based on your requirement. Then it is connected to the physical host. Then you have hypervisor, ESXi, you have the cluster, and then you see there are some VMs and one CVM installed. Some VMs and one CVM, some VMs and one CVM. So this CVM will work on the internal communication IP, and these VMs will work on external communication. So apart from that, if we are saying that yes, this Nutanix is quite interesting, but are we can we use snapshot? Can we use HA? Can we use other technologies as well? Yes, we can use HA. We can use HA. There is a feature, and HA can be used as there are two services which can be used. First one is, I can mention here just for reference, lib libvirt, and second one is HV host agent. Host agent. So you, if you guys have VMware background, you guys know that how HA is working, how HA works, how the election process goes, how the master node is selected, how the slave and master are communicating with each other. I'm not going into that because we have very less time. I'm not going into that, but you know that how HA is working. The same process comes in here in Nutanix also. There is an election process of Acropolis leader, who will be the Acropolis leader, who will be the Acropolis slave, how the communication is happening between them, how they are reacting, how they are like in, I can say that in vCenter, in VMware, we know that HA is communicating using network heartbeat and storage heartbeat. In here as well, this is the same thing. How the HA leader is selected, how the Acropolis leader is selected. So all the terminology is same. Only thing is that the name is changes. Okay. Apart from that, we can use snapshot also. Like we are using snapshot in vCenter as with memory and without memory. You guys, if you have Nutanix background, sorry, VMware background, we know that snapshots are used with memory, without memory, and I can say queue size also for backup. Here in Nutanix, let me, here in Nutanix, two type of snapshots. Snapshot. First one is crash consistent, crash consistent snapshot, and second one is application consistent snapshots. This is for Nutanix only. For VMware, we have with memory, without memory, queue size. So we can use snapshot also in here. We can use HA, we can use DR. And one more thing, if you are using ESXi host on that particular Nutanix hardware, then you don't need to do anything extra. Like you are using your VMware infra, you have knowledge on VMware infra, you can enable, disable your HA from vCenter only. You don't need to log into the Nutanix and do the settings from Nutanix. If you are using it, you need to manage it from vCenter. If you are using if you are using VMware, you can use your HA from there. migration is also there, NGT is also there. There are multiple things that are being in use by Nutanix. And you can, if you have a basic knowledge on VMware, if you know how snapshot works, if you know how the migration is done, if you know how SV motion and V motion works, you will not face any problem in